Yeah, I'm out here with Miss Debra Ninham. Can you spell your first and last name?
Debra Ninham.
I am at her home here in Green Bay, and I am interviewing her because she is jealous because my dad, Dennis Skinador, got an interview and she did not. Right?
Right.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Miss Ninham.
Okay, I was born in October 27th, 1948, at the Bellman Hospital in Green Bay. And my parents were Nelson and Rebecca Ninham. My mother's maiden name was Schuyler. Her mother was Esther Schuyler Archiquette, and she married my grandfather, who was my step grandfather, Oscar Archiquette. My biological grandfather's name was Samuel Schuyler.
So, what school did you go to growing up? High school.
Um, I went to West Pier for the 4 years till I graduated, and I went to the Oneida Mission from first grade to part of my eighth grade, and then I went to Highview and came back to the Oneida Mission.
It's my understanding when you were a young girl, Grandma would make you your clothes to wear to school.
Oh, yes, she loved to sew, and she'd make my clothes for me, more so when I was in high school, I remember, because um, my dad always provided it well. We never went without, and I always wanted something, so she either went thrifting or rummaging or whatever, or go to the stores and find material, and she'd make me something to wear to school. And then she'd always have my socks and my shirts to match and everything. And I grew up that way. So now I'm 72, and I have to have everything match.
Oh no. So, in your years of growing up, you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I come from a pretty large family. I have 13 brothers and sisters, and let me see. There was Vernon was the oldest one, and he passed a couple years ago. And then I had a brother Clyde. He passed away. My brother Harold. He passed away. My younger brother Harlan passed away, and recently my brother Sam. And I had a brother John that I don't remember. He passed when he was about a year old or so. So I had six brothers that passed, and I have two living, Cletus Ninham and Leland Ninham, and four sisters.
That are still living?
Yes, Nona Cottrell, Annabeth Ness, Regina Vandehei, and my one sister had passed. That would be in between me and Cletus. Telka was her name, Skylar Novak.
So, um, you said you graduated from West Superior High School.
Yes.
What was did you have any ambitions or goals after high school? You know, like nowadays kids want to go to college or job trade.
Well, yes, I did. I wanted to be a airline stewardess, and then when I was in grade school, I wanted to be a nun. That never turned out, and um, I end up falling in love with my grade school sweetheart, and he was in the service, and he got connected through my brother Cletus and they ran into Vietnam. They ran into one another in Vietnam, and he gave him my address, and we corresponded for the year and a half or so that he was there. And I knew him when he was younger because he used to be my brother's playmate, and I also went to grade school with him. I used to like to fight with him, make him
Um,
cry.
and who would this person be? What's his name?
Dennis Dale Scanador.
Oh no.
Yep.
So you end up dating this fine young man.
Oh yes, he. We had a lot of fun. We I graduated in June 6th of '67, and he was coming home on leave, and they can only get so many leaves so often. So he planned the wedding, and he was going to take me back to Germany with him in November of '67. So we went. I went to Germany with him, and it was an awesome experience I had seeing different countries and customs and cultures and things like that. And I learned to speak very little German, but just enough to get by.
So did you get married in Germany, or where did you get married?
No, we got married in at the Holy Apostles. They call it the Stone Church in Oneida.
I see. So after marriage, did you have any kids?
Oh, I sure did. My first son, we had him 2 years after we were married. His name is Dennis Dale Skenador. And then when he got older, because I got remarried, he named it to his stepfather's name. So he just liked the sound of being a king. So his name is Dennis Dale King. And then my baby is Sean William Skenador King.
So uh, from that statement, I understand you were divorced from your first love.
Yes.
What year did you get divorced in?
Um, I can't remember too well. I think it was in the 70s, late 70s, because we were in Alaska and we came back, and Sean was, no, you were 3. Oh, yeah, I had my two sons, Dennis, he was born in May of 20th, 69, and then his brother Sean was born January 7th of 73, and they were best of buddies. Dennis was by himself for 3.5 years before his brother was born, and he didn't have no playmates, and he was quite tall. He was almost 10 pounds, and he was 24 inches long. And when we were in the service, the boys would come and get him to play, and then the officers' wives and then people would come over to the apartment or the house, whatever, and tell me that my son was really the mean kid in the block. I said, he's only 3 and your boy's 5. And he'd come running in the house and hide under the table because he knew what he was done.
So your son would beat up the older boys to make them
He,
cry?
he sure did.
Holy smokers.
And he knew how to ride a bike, and no one wouldn't believe me. When we came home, we went to an auction, and we bought him a middle-sized bike, two-wheeler, and his dad Dennis put blocks on the pedals so his feet could reach down there. And when Dennis was at work, I would take Dennis outside, my son outside, and practice him to ride on that bike. And then we met a little kid named Andy, a teenage boy. He was 16, and he got to be Dennis's buddy. He took him and helped him to ride his bike, and he got off the training wheels, and he could ride the bike. And then when we came home, I had to show everybody who could ride a big bike, and they wouldn't believe me.
How old was he?
He was 3 years
So,
old.
so at 3 years old, I understand he could ride a bike better than you because from
Yep.
the story I hear, you were riding Dennis Skenador's bike and you went through the window at your mom's house.
That's right.
Is that a true story?
That's a true story. Sent him home crying. He just got his bike and asked him if I could ride it, and my feet couldn't reach down to the pedal to slow down. And my dad just built up us a ranch style brick home, and the window wasn't in, and there was a little bump up there. I smacked into that. I flew inside, and I wrecked his bike in the front. But he was a little rascal.
So you're saying that Dennis got his name switched to King, to his stepdad's last name. When did you get married to Mr. King?
Um, Let me see now. I'm not good with dates. I always tease that when I got divorced from him, but it really wasn't that funny. I always say he dethroned me because of King. Well, let me see. I think I got married to him in
Like 83,
83,
somewhere around
85,
there.
somewhere
Yeah.
in there. Somewhere in the 80s. Yeah, we were married for 10 years. And I was married to Dennis Skinner for 11 years. And now I've been by myself 20 plus years.
So tell me a little bit about being by yourself. So you got diagnosed with lupus.
Yes, and then after I knew I could take care of myself and I was very independent. I got everything I needed and had everything I wanted and would like. And then one day in '04, I got extremely sick. Both of my sons were sick with the flu, so I would call them and ask them how they felt because I was getting sick. Dennis said his family was all sick with the flu, but they were getting better, and Sean said the same thing. So then I asked my older son, Dennis, if he'd bring me some 7 Up and some crackers to the house, and he brought some soup, and he just left it inside the door, and then I went and got it. And then I was eating it, and then I kept feeling like I wasn't getting any better. I started getting really sweaty and hot, and then Sean came out to visit, and he said, "Mom, you're really sick." He said, "You got to go to the hospital."
So it's kind of then you figured out you got diagnosed with lupus, and
Yep.
you've been fighting that for what, like 20 years?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
kind of being what, semi taking care of yourself.
Yep. I says, when I first got diagnosed with it, I couldn't eat, talk, walk, do anything for my daily living, what you have to do, bathe and that.
Mm.
So then I
Is that
ended up,
when Gina was taking care of you?
yeah, so my sister had me move in with them for 3 months and she took care of me. And she left her job for a while and then she went back and then she got me caregivers. And then after I got better, then my son Dennis was taking care of me and Sean for the rest of the time, but Dennis had me more because the way his schedule was. He'd take me to my doctor's appointments, out to eat, to movies, all the things I enjoyed to do. He had me going.
Fishing? Didn't you catch some big
Oh
fish?
yes, I went fishing, and one experience I had, we were in a boat and I threw out my line. I believe we were in Kewanee or Sturgeon Bay area, somewhere down there, and I threw out my line, and I just happened to turn, and then I could feel a jerk. So I thought, oh no. Then I start reeling in, and I told my son, I said, oh no. I said, I got a big fish on. I can't reel it in. You need to help me. He said, no, you can do it. Then I was running out of breath, and anyways, I got it close enough, and he was already laughing uncontrollably. And then when I saw what he's laughing at, I hooked a rock.
A rock?
A rock. So
So your fish was a rock?
yep. And then the people down in that area who run the fishing stuff. I don't know how he got word of it, but he said that was the best video that he saw, that me catching that rock bass.
Yeah, we'll have to dig that video up again for the people to see.
Yeah, it was fun.
So, back in the mid '80s, I recall you were wanting to be a beautician. You went to college or
Yeah.
beauty school.
Yep, I went right like out of high school for a while, took break and went again, took breaks back and forth, and then when I was a senior, I got all A's on my grades and I was doing real well. And then I had gotten in a car accident before I went to school, and I could hardly walk. I broke my ankle, shattered it, and cut through the tendons and the ligaments and the ALC, I guess that's what you call that. and my doctor happened to be across the street, and it was blown up and not pain. And he told me I might as well quit because I'd never be able to do that for my job. So I listened to him and quit, and I should have just finished.
So when you were going to school, you had two sons that were your models for cutting hair and dyeing hair and all that. Do you recall that?
Yeah, and I cut one's ear.
You cut one's ear.
Yeah,
How,
yours.
how did that make you feel?
Bad because I cut his ear. I broke his ankle by accident when he was. I was trying to ride him on a big bike in Alaska when I was pregnant with Sean, and he got his ankle caught in there, and then he had a little cast, and then his
And
babysitter.
the story that I heard is you made him walk on that ankle.
Oh, I asked him if he could walk because I was carrying him for a while, and I had him on the bike, like putting him on there and hanging on him, and he said, "Yeah, he could." When I got him home, he did not cry, nothing. And then when I went to take his clothes off to put his ankle was big, so I went to the lady next door, and we took him to the hospital, and here they couldn't tell that he had a broken leg because his leg was too little to tell. But yeah, he fractured.
Excuse us for a minute. Someone's knocking at the door. Come in.
Hey.
We're doing an interview.
Here's the vacuum.
Yeah.
Say hi to Bonnie. Everybody say hi to
Hi,
Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Hey, Dennis.
All right.
Bye. Tell her I said thank you very much.
I will.
Okay, bye. So, Dennis was a really tough little boy back in the day,
Oh, my
beating up
gosh.
bigger boys like that, bigger than him, and
Yeah.
and walking around on a broken ankle that you
Yeah.
made him do.
Yeah.
And then going back to Alaska, I understand that his dad took him fishing and
Yep.
wasn't paying attention to him,
Yep.
and Dennis jumped in the water after a fish.
That's right.
And then what happened?
I got home, there was wet clothes there, and I thought, oh my God. So the lady told me that I think they had to take you just to get you checked out, but your dad got demoted for that happening.
So
and,
Dennis wasn't paying attention to the baby
yeah,
and just let him go dive in the water.
more or less.
So
That's all it took is just to look one way.
back in that era of being in Alaska, I understand Dennis was kind of digging in his diaper.
He was, yeah, I'm going to say he was probably 2 at that time. No, but yeah, because he was potty trained. But anyway, somewhere down the line, he dug in his diaper, and his dad was upstairs, and he says, "Deborah, come up here." He said, "Look what your son done." He said, "You have to tend to him." He dug in his poop pants and he marked his crib and his eyes and his face and his hands, and he had poop all over everything. Little marbles on the floor. Oh, that was a job to do.
So Dennis made you clean them all up.
Yeah,
Terrible.
yeah.
So I also remember a story about when Sean was a little baby, how some grease went splatting on him.
Yeah, that was a total accident. he was about, I don't know, 8 months old because he was newborn when we came back from Alaska. And he just had his Pampers on, and he was sitting in one of my sister-in-law's kids' old-time wood high chair, and we were living in the basement, me, and Sean, and we had to come down and bathe down by Grandma's on Overland, so...
So we lived in Uncle Cletus's basement?
Yeah, yep. So then we went down there, and I put Sean in, and my dad had a coffee can on the burner, and I saw it catch on fire just fast, So I tried to play hero. I don't know what I was thinking, but it was very dumb. I grabbed my hands and they got burnt, so I ran over and wrang out some wet cloths that were in the sink and put it around there. It went right through it, and as I was going from there to there, it burnt and it dropped down and it shot right up on Sean and put him on fire. And my sisters were tending to him, and then it caught fire on the curtain and we got it out anyways. But I thought that I killed him or what and everything, and he didn't want nothing to do with me, so he got splattered, and he just had his Pampers on. He got splattered through. He had to go to the hospital, spend a few days there to watch for infection, but he didn't want nothing to do with me. And then another time, the boys were playing outside, and my dad used to make like dig a hole, and he would put slop stuff in it, and it was in the wintertime, and the ice wasn't fully frozen over that hole, and the boys are just playing by themselves. We visited my mom, and here they came in the house, and Dennis goes, he had to save Sean because he fell in that slop hole, and he had to pull him up by his hair.
So Sean got saved 2 times when he was a baby. And then I remember another time when you lived in Milwaukee and Dennis started your house on fire.
Oh yeah, yeah. And my nephew was helping us because we were both working.
Was that
And
Kevin?
yeah, that Kevin Cottrell, my nephew, he was sleeping with Dennis, and there was some laundry in the back, and somehow, or Sean was sleeping in the crib, and Dennis was sleeping with Kevin, and somehow he got the clothes on fire, and he hid under the bed. So, anyways, I got in an accident, so I had to go to the court because a black man hit me and he blamed me. But there was a lady that her husband was a detective, and he saw the accident, and I have all that happened. I had to renew my license, and then my brother Sam and them were over there, and they took the kids out, and everything was all right.
So I heard that Kevin took Dennis out of the house and forgot about Sean in the crib.
Right,
So then Uncle Sam had to
right,
go in the burning house to get Sean.
right.
Wow, Sean had like 3 lives gone already.
I know, and then now he's got all different things going on with him now.
So we just keep him in our prayers and he'll get through this.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of call this a wrap here. This is Miss Debra Ninham. The date is February 1st, 2021. And we are over and out.
One more thing.
Oh, she got one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing. My mother used to bake a lot, and me and Dennis stayed with her a lot because of Dennis being in the service, and we couldn't go because he was just a newborn. And as he got older, she put her pie. She made pies and bakery, and she would set it out, and we were sitting in there visiting and stuff, and I don't know how she noticed or how this happened, but someone took a piece of her pie,
I don't know who that would be.
and she knew right away when she said, I know somebody did this. Here, Dennis goes, I took that pie, Mom.
Yeah, I think I recall the story of Grandma having her pie cooling on the counter with a towel,
Yeah,
and then somehow,
Dennis.
not saying any names, but they went up and looked under the towel and took a slice. So then Grandma came in the house and noticed, and she's like, "Who took a slice of my pie?"
Yep,
Then I went running outside. Wasn't me.
yep, it was Dennis.
So over and out then.
I forgot to tell you when Sean would be getting into your toys all the time. You couldn't wait to have a playmate, and then when he got in your toys, you'd say, "Mama, I don't like my brother no more. Take him back to Kmart."
Good thing you didn't take him back to
Right.
Kmart.
Yeah, we love him. We
Well,
need
one
him.
more thing. What about that time you got Uncle Harlan in trouble, or Uncle Harlan got you in trouble by spitting on the stove?
Yes, we had potbelly stove. We lived in our grandfather Abraham Ninham's house because he passed, and then we were there helping him, my mom. And then we were upstairs, and then my Uncle George and some other people came to visit, and they told us kids to, to go so the adults could visit. So we went upstairs, and then Harlan was dropping spit down onto the stove and through a little hole, and it would sizzle off. And my dad heard it, and he kept telling him, he said, "Stop that spitting, or he's going to come up there." Well, Harlan didn't stop, but he decided to jump under the bed. So then I did. But what he did is, when Dad came out there, he pushed me out so Dad could spank me. And I told him it wasn't me, it was Harlan. So I got Harlan spanking.
Oh no.
Yep.
So you got any grandbabies?
Oh my gosh, that's the joy of my life. When I had my first grandbaby, my son Dennis and Sharon, granddaughter, when my oldest son Dennis and Sharon got married, and had Jasmine Mariah King. She was premature. She was like maybe 5 pounds, not very long. And now she's like 5'11", and she's mama herself to my two granddaughters, Ariella and Lalani.
That'd be great granddaughters.
Or they're my great granddaughters.
What about your other granddaughters?
And then I have Lexus, and I have Tia. Lexus just had a birthday. She turned 23.
24.
24. Oh my God, 24. And then their babies, Tia, and then their grandchildren, which are my great. They got Ariella. She's 3.
4.
4. And then the Lalani's a year and a half. And then Sean's got twin daughters, my grandgirls, and then they each got
What are their names?
Baby. Savannah and Sakura John. And then they got Savera. She just turned 3 recently. And then they got Maria. She's 8 months. And then Juice, he's 11 or 12.
Oh, I see.
And Desiree.
So we will call that a wrap then. You got one last statement? Anything to say to anybody? Pray for everybody?
Yes, there's so much things going around in the world, and people are running here and running there. Where they should be running to is God.
Amen.
He's the number one in my life. He saw me through everything, and I know I'm a walking miracle today as I sit here. I says, and I'm just so blessed, like the shirt says.
Oh man!
Blessed. So
Where'd you get that fancy shirt?
You got it for
Ooh.
me, and I love praying for people, and I have a lot of faith in God, and that's the main thing. When we have problems, don't go to this or that, go right to God. But a lot of times we tend to forget, and we go to other sources first. But no matter how hard we pray for our loved ones, it's all in God's hands. It's His choice if He's going to take us home. Because I believe in a spiritual healing and a physical healing. Spiritual healing is when the Lord's going to take us home. The physical healing is when the Lord uses the doctors to help us. But I'm just so blessed that I know the Lord is my personal Savior.
Amen. All right. We love you.
Love you too.
And that's
Thank
a
you.
wrap.